And that something just might change your life and actually make a damn difference in my life.
You're going to want to pay attention to this one.
Hey everybody, David Nagel. You're going to love this episode.
By the time the average person sees someone else become successful, that person's gone through usually so many changes and transformations that it would just boggle their mind at who that person was when they actually started. We see this end result of an individual, and we have a tendency to look at that person as not having flaws, not having made mistakes. We're looking at one of the illusions is that it's easy for them without understanding that whatever it is that they're doing, they've put in thousands, tens of thousands of hours in mastering whatever they do to be successful. And it's like our brain wants to hijack our reasoning, our own logic, and we want to know the hack that is going to allow us to do that. And while there's hacks along the way, there is no hack that allows you to jump from where you are to where you're looking at somebody else who's really successful. It's all cause and effect. It's all cause and effect. And it's fascinating to me, especially if you look at people that not only became successful, but literally became icons. Like their whole life, their whole career was spent doing whatever it is that they're doing. And understanding that the path along the way for them was constant change. The ones that you don't hear about anymore are the ones that either couldn't change, didn't change, refused to change, got tired of changing, and just completely dropped out and dropped away from what they were doing. And I think one of the reasons for that is that people get very disillusioned as they go down that road of success. The idea of shortcutting your behavior to get to the end event or to get to the end result that you're looking for is that your unconscious mind has within it something programmed that we call core wounds. It's things that it's desperately trying to avoid experiencing, and it's developed patterns in order to attempt not to experience it in life. But here's the key factor in this. It doesn't know any other pattern of survival for you as an individual. Excuse me. So it keeps taking you down this road of avoiding the things that are necessary to get you where you want. I'll give you, for instance, let's say you had a core wound that said that you were not worthy. And it is a very common core wound. Many people have it. And all it does is it gets developed because you've had experiences in your childhood that indicated in some way that you weren't worthy. You just weren't worthy. Whether it was people making fun of you or parents telling you that you can't have something or being not treated well at a certain time, all the way to having major dysfunctions in your childhood. So the brain goes into this paradigm. It starts to get wired in a pattern way where it says to itself, at all costs, I cannot experience this because it is the most ultimate painful thing. Yet the person does keep experiencing it over and over their life because it shows up in their behavior. It shows up in what they don't want to do. It shows up in, I want to shortcut something. I don't want to go through a process that appears painful. For instance, you see it a lot where anybody has to face possible rejection in what they're doing. We see it in sales. We see it with people that want to speak for a living. Anything that would put you in front of people where you're going to risk being rejected, or you're going to risk being wrong, or you're going to risk making a mistake. We have a tendency to try to want to work around it, not be exposed, hide from it, do something different. And if we keep trying different things and we can't seem to find this magical breakthrough that we're actually, so on one level, consciously, we're looking for, here's this end result that I want. But unconsciously, your mind can't find a pattern that fits, that you can do it and be safe at the same time. Then you keep looking at something like we call bright, shiny object syndrome. And you can word that any way that you want. You keep looking for another thing that is going to get you there, not understanding that your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind is avoiding the actual thing that you will get there because it thinks it's keeping you safe.
All right, so in the episode, you talked about how we usually only see the end result of a person we may be emulating, but rarely we see their journey. Like, we get their highlight reel, right? You know, the whole idea of there are no such things as an overnight success. These people are busting their asses to get to where they're at. You don't see the blood, sweat, and tears on the court or behind the scenes at the, trying to get auditions to break in. Can you talk more about the illusion we see in others and how it actually can be detrimental to a person's growth?
You mean from a success standpoint?
From a success standpoint, yeah.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that is that we're raised in a society that, we really celebrate celebrity and success. And I think that we are in a delusion around it because we only see it once it is a celebrity or a success. So these people seem magical to us in some way. You see them at the height of what caused them to be so popular, and usually in the prime of their career, so to speak. And when we do that, and we don't teach people what they actually had to do to become that, then there's this massive difference between them and us. And the truth is there is no difference between them and us. It's just that you have a person that's worked really hard and dedicated themselves to something, and that's what anybody can do if they do that. But when we get to that point, there's this idol worship that takes place, and it gets very unhealthy for individuals to start viewing other people like that. Number one, it's an unhealthy viewpoint of anything, and you're seeing something that you wish you could be, but you're probably thinking there's no way that I'll ever be that. And in many cases, you're right. Like like in Relentless, like Grover said, you'll never be a Michael Jordan. And I'm sure that there were people that were listening to that and felt deflated by him saying that because they were listening to it hoping that they could be a Jordan.
Right.
Well, that's the unhealthy side of it, right? We don't want people to be another Jordan. We want people to be the best that they can be. And if they get focused on the idol worship of the individual, of what they're doing or whatever, and then the other side of it is the partying lifestyle or the celebrity lifestyle that goes with so much of that. And they want to do that, but they don't really want to do what that person does for a living. It was like Jordan said in The Last Dance. He talked about, you saw him filming this thing when he was younger, and he said, you always say you want to be like Mike, but if you got to see what I did 365 days a year, you'd see that it wasn't all that much fun, right? Because you see him for an hour at a basketball game, and then the rest of the week he's in the gym killing himself in order to be prolific for that 1 hour. You want the celebrity of the hour, but you don't want to do what he did in the gym for the rest of the week. And it's the same way with every celebrity. You don't see the work that they're putting in behind the scenes to become that. So we get attached to the star quality, but not the process. And people need to learn you have to fall in love with the process if that's what you want in your life. And I think that being a celebrity just to be a celebrity is extremely unhealthy. It's coming from somebody who wants to be better than everybody else just for the sake of being better because they don't feel good about themselves the way they are right now. And we need to work as a society on helping people feel good about who they are so that they can become the best that they can be.
Well, you also talked about core wounds, and I love it when you talk about core wound on the show because I think a lot of people resonate fully with this because everybody's got some sort of a core wound that they're dealing with, and the unconscious patterns that's repeating over and over again. And if you don't do something about it, it just gets progressively worse. And for example, worthiness is a core wound so many people have running in the background. And we repeat that pattern because we're not aware for one, and it's far too uncomfortable to deal with for the second. We just don't want to deal with the fact that we don't feel worthy. So how do we know if we're blindly following a core wound if it's not even in our awareness?
Because you'll keep repeating the same problems over and over again. So we always have problems. All of our life, we're going to have problems. We're going to have challenges. We're going to have to have things that we overcome. But when we have the same problem over and over and over, and it's not changing, something is driving that problem. And when you break it down to why would a person continue to experience the same problem without changing it, it goes against the cycle of nature itself. The idea is that nature is constantly correcting itself to move forward. Human beings are supposed to be learning from their mistakes, getting better, and then moving forward. So when we don't do that, there's something else driving it. And when you look at it, it's a core wound pattern in a person that keeps driving that mistake. Now, why would it drive the mistake? Because at some point in your life, you learned how to live through whatever scenario caused this core wound and develop a pattern to stay safe. So you move from childhood to adulthood, and if you have not learned a pattern how to be successful in that situation, the only alternative is for your subconscious mind to run the core wound pattern. So you keep, even though you don't like the problem, you keep recreating it because there's a level of certainty and safety that is built into your experience around it, and that's why you keep doing it over and over again.
What I want to do is take you through a process that kind of shows you your own internal buying strategy and your own internal money stories or sales stories that you have about yourself. Because I have found that if you understand you better, you're going to recognize when this shows up with somebody else. And because you understand you better and you're more comfortable with whatever you're insecure about, it begins to remove that discomfort when you're having conversations with other people. So you can have a conversation. When that energy shifts with a person, you're able to sit in that space and not feel rattled. Has everybody been in this space before where now it's nervous energy and all you're thinking about is how the hell do I get out of here? Just get me off the fucking phone. I mean, this is crazy, right? Everybody's experienced that before. What you want to be able to do is to be able to change their energy by your confidence in that space. That's what Rick was doing that I had, because you can't see that. It's not like it's a technique. It's just that he wasn't rattled. So when a person would get uncomfortable, he knew how to make them comfortable. And yes, it could be something that you say here or there or whatever, how you verbally or physically respond to what's going on. But the real key is that your energy does not shift and become uncomfortable. Because we're like energetic sponges. If you put yourself in an environment where the energy is like if you go to a rock concert, right? And the energy's all up and everybody's pumped and you're excited to see the band, you kind of just take on that energy. It takes you to a different level. More so than if you were to try to get yourself in that energetic state all by yourself, right? So music has a way of changing your energy. It makes you feel like you want to dance or you want to sing or you want to express yourself. It does that. If you go to a funeral, you may not even really know the person. You're just there to support somebody that you know that died. It's like you come out of there and you're like, ugh, get it off me, right? It's thick in there. You know what I mean? When you're in love with somebody, that person that loves you, when they're in that energy, it has a way of changing your energy. You feel love more. You become more open. There is that back and forth of that energy between two people. So it's a real thing. It's not a woo-woo thing. I mean, it's absolutely 100% real that we respond to our energetic environment. If we can become conscious of how and why we're doing that, then we can control it. And we can remove any stories that are reactive to that energy.